Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the All-American Spookshow podcast. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Donny.
Yo.
And the Professor Smoak.
What's up?
And this is our latest Cannon Fodder movie selection in the Cannon Fodder series. Now, the whole premise of Cannon Fodder is we go through, not in any kind of order, just randomly go through the Cannon Films library, the 80s stalwart of awesome 80s movies. The main studio that we all grew up and loved, Cannon Films. Now, you know, I'm sure eventually we'll get to some that say, like, the pre-Golden Globus era Cannon, you know, Dewey Friedland Cannon, like in the 60s and 70s. And then even after Golden Globus split up, you know, they survived into the 90s. And I'm sure we'll get to some of that eventually, but our main focus is that core decade of basically pretty much straight up from 1980 to 1989. And what better way? Well, I mean, I guess there probably is better ways, but this is a very good way to represent all that was over the top, crazy, corny, awesome about Cannon Films than with this selection of Ninja 3, The Domination, right, Smoak?
Oh yeah. This is 1984 when it came out, so that you got Cannon about to really, I mean, had hitting their peak.
Yeah, you're entering the peak. Yeah.
And I mean, as far as ninja movies, they'd already done two prior, and we'll get into that as far as the title of this movie, why it's called Ninja 3. And to my surprise, I think a lot of people haven't seen this movie from that era because of that titling, I think. So yeah, we can get into that a little later.
But before we dive in, we want to remind you to go check out aaspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe, as we like to say. And from there, you can check out our YouTube channel. We have series such as Hammer Horror, In Order, Video Vortex, Grindhouse Gutter, Spook Show Rewind, all monthly series that we do over there. So we encourage you to check that out. You can also access our Patreon, patreon.com/aaspookshow, where every month you're guaranteed to get a video mini-sode, including the Library of the Professor segment, and of course, Crapsterpiece Theater. We're, as of this recording, and of course, this comes out on May 1st, so we can't tell you what won the poll, because the poll's literally closed last night for the month of April for what we're going to watch this month. All we can tell you is that that movie will come out on May 26th, so the Friday before Memorial Day. That is when the next edition of Crapsterpiece Theater comes out, and hopefully you chose wisely. I mean, because there were four steaming turds on that list, like there always is. Son of the Mask, The Wicker Man, Fart the Movie. I'm completely blanking on what the fourth choice was, but yeah, all of them.
Gotti.
Gotti. Yeah. All of them suck. But that's the theme of Crapsterpiece Theater, is that we know they're turds. It's just we have to decide the varying degrees of turd, right?
I have to say this. It's not so much the movies themselves. Yeah, it's these movies suck.
Yeah.
But it's how you announce them. It's like you're
disdain. Such disgust.
Yeah.
For what we have, for what you put us through. And I try to bring it home for everybody to help you understand how much of a struggle it is to do these. So we encourage you to go to patreon.com/aaspookshow. If you choose one of these movies, then go subscribe to our Patreon, so we're vindicated at least on some level as to why we have to watch this, and you can listen to us tear them apart over on Patreon. So without any further build up, we'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Ninja 3, The Domination.
He is the most feared and powerful warrior. A ninja who breaks from ancient tradition and explodes onto America. His soul possesses the body of an innocent woman and transforms her into a lethal assassin. Who are you?
I want you to help her.
Only a ninja can destroy a ninja. Her only hope is Yamada, the master ninja, who has been sent to destroy him. Where Revenge of the Ninja left off, Ninja 3 begins. An epic struggle of superhuman strength and supernatural forces. Ninja 3, the Domination.
All right, there you go. That's the trailer for that. So, as usual, we have our latest submission in the Cannon Chronicles series from Cannon Film Guide author, Volume 1 and Volume 2, author Austin Trunick. So, without any further ado...
Cannon Chronicles with Austin Trunick.
Hello, Spookshow listeners. Austin Trunick here, author of the Cannon Film Guide books, to talk about 1984's Ninja 3: The Domination, a movie that truly speaks for itself if any movie ever has. This film stars Lucinda Dickey as a telephone lineman / aerobics instructor who has the unfortunate luck of being possessed by the spirit of an evil ninja who has a vendetta out against the Phoenix, Arizona Police Department. This is the rare movie that manages to combine elements of ninja movies, Flashdance, Poltergeist, and The Exorcist, 3 out of 4 of which had a lot of buzz in late 1983 when the movie was conceived. It is the third movie in Cannon's original Ninja trilogy, which began with 1981's Enter the Ninja and continued into Revenge of the Ninja in 1983. For the listeners at home who might be worried about not having seen the first 2 films in this trilogy, you don't need to worry. There are only 2 elements that link these movies. The first being the presence of the ultimate screen ninja, Sho Kosugi, who plays an altogether different shinobi in each of the 3 films. The other is the idea that only a ninja can kill a ninja, a phrase that you'll become very familiar with if you watch more than one Cannon Ninja movie. Now, if anyone recognizes Ninja 3's star, Lucinda Dickey, it's probably from Breakin' or Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, Cannon's 2 breakdancing movies, which were also released in 1984. Ninja 3 was actually filmed first, but released in between those 2, meaning that over the course of 7 months in 1984, Lucinda Dickey played the lead in 3 different Cannon theatrical releases. How's that for star power? Now, Ninja 3 is pretty damn awesome. I usually save my ratings for the end of these recordings, but there's no use in beating around the bush here. I'm going to give Ninja 3: The Domination 277 Ninja stars out of 5. If that's too many, or if it's going to break the All-American Spook Show algorithm, I give the guys permission to adjust that rating as they see fit, but I will say it here. 277 stars out of 5. That's grading on the conservative end of the ratings curve, for me. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, it's a treat. I'm jealous. This film's pretty wacky, it leaps all over the place, it'll ensure that you never look at another bottle of V8 juice the same way again. The first 20 minutes of the movie are balls-to-the-wall action, with stunt coordinator Stephen Lambert deserving a ridiculous amount of credit for not only designing the stunts, but performing a large amount of them himself. That guy worked his ass off and put his life on the line to make this movie, all while hiding behind a ninja mask or wearing a Flashdance wig. Now, I will be up front here and admit that this isn't actually my favorite of the Ninja trilogy. That would be 1983's Revenge of the Ninja, which is probably a 459 star out of 5 star rated movie. But this one's up there. Like I said before, the first 20 minutes alone, which are nothing but a ninja going apeshit on a golf course without really much explanation at all, are better than the entire runtime of most movies. And so with that, I'm going to step aside and let the Spook Show fellas here share their thoughts, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say. Until next time, listeners, Austin Trunick signing out.
I think that was a good appetizer for what's about to go down here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to speak for myself and say that this is the first time I've ever watched this movie.
Same.
Smoak, I know for you, you've seen it 145 times, and you've got the poster in the background, right?
Yeah, I do have the poster. Unfortunately, I think I traded it out with the Mutilator poster right now. But yeah, it has. Okay. And this is our audio podcast, so we're not doing video for Cannon Chronicles. But yeah, sometimes in our video ones, you'll see the Ninja 3 poster behind me.
I think it even has come up before, like because you had it back there. We talked about it at least briefly, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure I've done it on the Library of the Professor segment for Patreon. Pretty sure I have.
It wouldn't surprise me, but wow, that's all I can say about this movie. Holy shit!
Yeah, that was one of the points I was going to bring up earlier when I mentioned in the title, the beginning. When we introed the show, some people haven't seen it because they didn't realize that there wasn't really a Ninja 1 and a Ninja 2. There are, but they're not titled. There's not Ninja 2, the Electric Boogaloo or something.
And for me, that was probably the reason why I kind of avoided it, because I admittedly, we've talked about it before, I'm somewhat of a completionist. So I'll see Ninja 3, where's the first two? I don't see them. Fuck it, I'm not watching it because I don't want to, I don't want to walk in 3 movies in, so then it just kind of got brushed under the rug and then never swung back around to watch it. So, we'll save our ratings for the end like we always do, but I'm glad I finally watched it. I'll say that. I will say that at least.
It's bonkers.
Yeah,
in a good way.
To say the least. But before we get into it, I know we're all itching to get into it. We'll go ahead and go through some of the background information real fast. I found two alternate titles actually for this movie. It was also known as Commando Ninja. That's the French TV title, which that is awesome.
Not having commandos at all in it, but
yeah. Well, still, that's an awesome '80s title, right? Commando Ninja.
It's awesome.
That brings it all together.
Title. I don't know if that was the title of any other movie, but it should have been. Maybe there's a Godfrey Ho movie that I haven't come across called Commando Ninja.
Yeah. And then in Italy, this movie is known as Trancers. I don't know where.
Which is odd because there already is a Trancers.
There you go. But the movie went on to debut May 11th, 1984 at the Cannes Film Market. And that, which, Cannon Films were notorious for shopping, 40 movies at once at the Cannes Film Market. But the movie,
once they hadn't been thought up at all yet, they just had a title for and said so and so actor was going to be in it. So
they would get a director and or a big named actor attached to it, and then that's all they had.
It's ingenious. It worked a lot of times.
It worked for the most part. It did work for them back then. But it was finally released September 14th, 1984. Of course, produced by Golden Globus, the Cannon Group, and distributed by MGM UA Entertainment Company. This movie's rated R. If you've ever seen it, you know why. Total runtime of 1 hour and 32 minutes, and over on IMDb it's listed as an action/fantasy/thriller. So I think that's appropriate. I'm going to hit pause right here, and since I failed to mention it off the top, we are a spoiler-filled podcast, so for whatever reason you have not seen Ninja 3 The Domination, like me, I didn't watch it until now, and you want to at some point, pause now, because we're going to spoil the hell out of it from this point forward, more than likely, once we get through some of this background information. But I just thought of that before we get deep. You should, fair warning, spoiler alert. This movie was filmed in Phoenix, Glendale, Sedona, Tempe, Arizona area, all around those cities, in October of 1983, for a budget of $2 million. So that's a good solid round number for a Cannon film. Went on for a worldwide gross of $7.6 million. So, I'd say they probably made a little bit of dough off of it. Yeah. Although, not huge by any standard, but still pretty good for them. As usual, when we have it, I'll read it. I actually have the top 10 in the box office that weekend. The weekend of September 14th through the 16th, 1984. And this is an interesting one. I think you guys are going to like this one. Number 10 in its opening week, Exterminator 2.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Yes, that's another one.
Another Cannon. Yeah.
Number 9 in its 15th week, Gremlins.
Nice.
Number 8 in its 6th week, Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Number 7, Ninja 3, The Domination, in its opening weekend made $1.7 million. So that's right. Ninja 3 beat Gremlins in the box office. At least At least 1 week. It happened. Number 6, Revenge of the Nerds. It was in its 9th week.
Oh, nice.
Number 5, The Woman in Red. That was in its 5th week. Number 4, in its 13th week, The Karate Kid. Number 3.
1984 was a hell of a year, I'll tell you.
Just taking it
there's
back,
no doubt.
man.
There's no doubt 1984 was some good times.
And that's not, I mean, not to go on a tangent or anything, but that's a known thing that you'll hear a lot. You'll hear a lot of references to
84.
1984.
Yeah, no doubt. No question. And it continues here. Number 3, Purple Rain in its 8th week. The Prince Classic. Number 2, Tightrope. Now, I don't know how that one got stuck in here, but in its 5th week, Tightrope. And number 1 in its 15th week, that's right, number 1 in its 15th week, Ghostbusters. It hadn't quite cracked.
Classic.
It hadn't quite cracked $200 million yet as of this particular weekend, but just listen to that. Gremlins, Revenge of the Nerds, Karate Kid, Purple Rain, Ghostbusters. It's like the 80s exploded in this top 10 all at one time. Awesome.
And that's just a small chunk of 1984. I mean, hell, you got The Terminator, which didn't come out in this time period, but came out in 1984.
Yeah. Well, at least it didn't crack the top 10, but number 11, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It was in its 17th week. So Temple of Doom was still playing at this point. So yeah, if you were going to the theater, probably seeing a movie for a couple bucks, you were living the high life this particular weekend in 1984, man. You were getting a chance to see some classics on the big screen. So yeah, that was an awesome look back at the old box office snapshot. Of course, as mentioned, and Austin mentioned it too, the reason that this is Ninja 3, The Domination, is because Cannon Films' Ninja series, their Ninja trilogy, Enter the Ninja came out in 1981, and then Revenge of the Ninja in 1983. So that's why we arrive at Ninja 3. Although it still is a weird choice, because it's not like even like Revenge of the Ninja was part 2. It's just weird to. Maybe it's because sequels were a thing, at that point. So fuck it, let's jump on the train, right?
I guess, but I haven't looked into this part of it, but the box office for this one was the least of those 3 Ninja movies. Even though it made a profit, it didn't make enough of a profit for them to continue until they revamped things for American Ninja a few years later. But maybe it's because it was called Ninja 3 that people didn't necessarily know. They weren't in the know like you are now, where you can just go online and look up, okay, so Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja. That's Ninja 1 and Ninja 2.
Yeah.
People didn't know that necessarily back then.
It's a weird choice, and it had to have scared some people away. I mean, even though, it did go on to make, like we said, $7.5 million, I mean, which is fair for this type of movie and for Cannon at the time, but it's still a weird choice. It seems like they could have cashed more into just, let's just call it something Ninja. Even if it had just been called Ninja the Domination, drop the 3, right? They probably would have sold a few extra tickets.
I mean, I saw this in the theater when it came out, and I didn't even really know that. I mean, I knew about Cannon Films, and I'd already seen Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja before I saw this one, but I didn't know the connection there until, Sho Kazugi pops up. And I'm like, okay, well, being a Cannon film fan back then and a Ninja movie fan, didn't even know that this was necessarily the sequel to those in name, not necessarily in plot or anything. But I just feel like if they had called it, something else, Ninja, without the 3 in there, that maybe they would have made a little bit more in the box office. People would have realized that it wasn't necessarily a sequel.
Yeah, that it wasn't tied to anything else. You just come and enjoy a Ninja flick here in 1984. I would think. I mean, ninjas being as popular as they were during that time period, right? Like it wouldn't have took much to sell it. Just call it something Ninja and move on.
Yeah, just like you said, Ninja the Domination. That's
Ninja or that French TV title, Commando Ninja. That would have that would have sold some tickets. That definitely would have sold some tickets. I don't know, when did Commando come out? The Schwarzenegger flick, that was around this time, right?
Was that after that? I want to say 85.
So after that, so you would have beat Commando to the punch if you'd have just called it Commando Ninja. That would have been awesome. Either way, it was directed by Sam Furstenberg, who Cannon classic director. He directed the one before this, Revenge of the Ninja. He also directed Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, American Ninja 1 and 2. In the 90s, kind of post-Cannon, he did Delta Force 3. This film was written by James R. Silk, or Silky. It's got an E on the end, so I'm not sure how he pronounces it. But he had wrote Revenge of the Ninja, a couple other Cannon flicks, Sahara, King Solomon's Mines. I believe that music that we use for the Cannon Chronicles opened for Austin. I think that's from King Solomon's Mines, or from the Alan Quartermain stuff, right? The movie stars Sho Kazugi as Yamada. He would best be known from Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Pray for Death, a handful of others. But really, I mean, as far as like him being so popular with the ninja movies, he only has like 19 acting credits on IMDb, and at least 4 or 5 of those are like uncredited roles. Believe it or not, his very first, I found this kind of interesting. His very first role, which was uncredited, by the way, but his first acting gig was passerby in coat with cap pulled down in The Godfather Part 2 in 1974. So that's pretty cool. As popular as he is, as far as like, you know, thinking back on ninja movies, he really wasn't in a whole bunch. At least not as many as you would think, right?
Yeah, I think that's just a testament to how popular ninjas were, and it being well in America. I mean, you know, ninjas. There've been ninja movies going back to the '60s in Japan, just because of the culture. In America, it was Enter the Ninja that really broke through and made ninjas popular here. And just based on that movie, Revenge of the Ninja, and this one, and of course, Nine Deaths of the Ninja, his popularity was so much that I remember I had a poster or multiple posters of Sho Kazugi on the wall that came from like the pages of well, I can't remember the exact name of it. The martial arts magazines back in the 80s were everywhere. And I can't remember the exact names of them, but there was like a, you know, poster of Sho Kazugi in full ninja uniform doing like a flying sidekick, or him with the bow. I remember specifically he was holding the bow in like Revenge of the Ninja because he had the family crest on his ninja uniform, and he was pulling back a bow and drawing it with like this very stylized studio in the background with like, you know, fog and stuff coming out behind him. But yeah, just the popularity of those ninja movies that he was in the 80s was huge.
It also stars Lucinda Dickey as Christy. She would, like Austin said earlier, she would best be known from her roles in Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, but she also had a small role in Grease 2 in years before that, but not much else, like, you know, a handful of other credits, and then not much else past Ninja 3 The Domination. So she got married to someone that I think was like a producer, director, or something like that. Something that was in show business, I believe. And then she just kind of went away as far as like, you know, being a actress in TV and film. So Jordan Bennett.
Yeah, she was a professional dancer, I believe, right? And that's how she got the role.
Yeah, I think she was one of like the solid gold dancers or something like that, you know, in the years before. And yeah. Cannon was notorious for that kind of stuff too, just kind of making a star out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. Because they wanted to push her as the Cannon sort of, you know, just
one of their leading
lead actress for Cannon Films or whatever at the time, and which those 3 movies came out the same year.
But
Breakin' came out in '83, right?
That being said, I mean, you know, as far as Cannon is concerned, I mean, she's got a few high-marking movies as far as like Cannon movies that people remember. You know, the Breaking movies, and this one or 2 others. So, you know, even though she didn't do it very long, she left a pretty good mark, especially on Cannon Films. It also stars Jordan Bennett as Secord. Basically, the dude before and after really had done nothing but television. This was, I mean, he did a couple other movies, but this was pretty much it.
Did he ever play Sasquatch? I don't know.
Almost everything else was television. David Chung as the Black Ninja. You may or may not know that he was in Repo Man a handful of years before this, and he was also in Missing in Action 2: The Beginning, which one of those weird out of order things that Cannon did, right, with the Missing in Action series. And of course, this movie has James Hong in it. James Hong is Miyashima. And he's only in it for maybe 5 minutes, if that, something like that.
Yeah, something like
very
that.
Brief.
He's not in it very long.
He would probably best, if I had to guess, the one role that most people would probably remember him the best from would be his role in Big Trouble in Little China. You know, the John Carpenter flick.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, instantaneously you'll know that. You know, if nothing else.
He was a voice in all the Kung Fu Panda series of movies and shows and everything. And most recently, he was in the movie that I think won Best Picture, right? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I know that it was at least nominated. So yeah, like it was one of the big winners at the Oscars this past go around. He was in that as well, but I can't remember exactly how old he is. He's got to be like 90 at this point, but he's still doing stuff.
I think he's 93.
Yeah, there you go. But on IMDb, this mofo, it's got to be close to a record. Not quite French Horn level, right? But James Hong has 452 acting credits on IMDb. I mean, the dude has done it all and then some twice. It's crazy how much this guy has done.
And the scene that he pops up in, which we'll get to later, is perfect too for in relation to fantasy things such as Big Trouble in Little China.
It's time to refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand with a parade of items to tempt your taste. Hot buttered popcorn, golden good and fresh from the popper. Your favorite candies, wholesome and rich and full of flavor. Ice cream and other good things to eat. Plus, ice-cold Coca-Cola. So bright, so bracing, with a taste and tingle all its own.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So, like usual, went on over to Audible, and this time I just typed in Ninja because I figured there'd be nothing in particular to Ninja 3: The Domination. And sure enough, we've got a good handful of things that popped up. We've got The Ninja, The History and Legacy of Feudal Japan's Secret Agents by Charles River Editors. That one's just a little over an hour and a half long, so it's a pretty brief listen, but still. Ninja Psychology 101. Learn how to train your mind to become invincible by Madison Taylor. That one's longer than the other one. It's almost 3.5 hours long. And then we have The Ninja's Blade, the Lily Wong series, book 2. So there's at least 2 of these things by Tori Eldridge. And that one's a little over 9 hours long. So there's tons of results that come back if you just type in the word ninja. I've got over 600 results.
Well, one request I have to see it. Let's see if this is on there. The Ninja, which is a novel by Eric Van Lustbader. Now, that novel is what Enter the Ninja was basically somewhat based on. So that'd be pretty cool if they have that on there, but I don't know if they do.
Just a cursory glance, I don't see it. Like nothing's coming up with that parameter. But
would have been a cool tie-in, but yeah, unfortunately, that one's a bit more obscure. I've never read it, but I might have to now after finding out that it's related to Enter the Ninja.
Well, if any of that floats your boat, and like I said, I see at least over 600 results just typing in the word ninja. There's tons of things there for you on Audible. So to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook. So I'm going to hop on back over to IMDb, and I'm going to click on plot summary to see what pops up. And Donnie, you're in luck. We only have 2, like the one sentence brief one, and then we've got one that's, a small paragraph.
Yeah, so I scoped those out earlier and deleted the...
so you're the one.
The 3-pager, yeah.
There was a longer one submitted by Will on there that you must have deleted.
No, did.
So we got the one sentence. An evil ninja attempts to avenge his death from beyond the grave by possessing an innocent woman's body. Pretty much accurate. But this one, we need a little bit more information than that. We just need a little bit more. So this one was submitted by Brian J. Wright on IMDb. The body of a sexy aerobics instructor is invaded by the evil spirit of a dying ninja. At first, changes in her behavior is limited to having strange interactions with an arcade game, doing sexy things with V8 juice, and being attracted to an unusually hairy police officer. But soon enough, she's systematically killing, ninja style, the officers responsible for the ninja's death, and can only be stopped by another ninja.
Only a ninja can stop a ninja.
Yeah. Apparently, there you go. That's the only way. We'll start there. How much horse shit is that? Right? Like, why would it take a ninja to stop a ninja?
Well, I mean, we saw that, the black ninja at the, just in the beginning, he was shot over 100 times. I mean, shit. Obviously, if you have a ninja with a gun, it's
well, if it was a ninja with a gun, then this movie would have ended quickly, right? But that's the problem. They were cops. They were just regular people with guns. They weren't ninjas.
It would have ended about the way that it did Strike Commando 2 whenever he Bruce Abbott, I think that was his name. No, Bruce. What was his name? I forget his name.
Michael Ransom.
In Strike Commando 2 when he came in and the ninja was, swinging the sword around and he shot him, kind of like Indiana Jones movie that was ripping off.
That's an allusion, by the way, to the latest in the Video Vortex series over on our YouTube channel. Check it out today. So, anyways, this movie really does start off. I mean, like, it's batshit crazy pretty much from pillar to post, but it really does start off just crazy because it's like, dude goes into a cave and picks up a sword.
Yes, and a nicely very 80s well lit treasure chest type thing, backlit from behind with the shurikens and sword and everything nicely laid out.
And the cave had stairs. Like
beautifully carved out stairs.
Concrete stairs. not like rock formation stairs, but well laid concrete stairs.
Then he basically, because he finds the sword, it's a katana, right? Whatever that is, magic. He's instantly a ninja, the black ninja, who just goes out on a golf course nearby and just lays waste to everybody that moves out there. Now, did I miss it somewhere? I doubt it. Did I miss it somewhere as to why he was targeting these people? Specifically the guy on the golf cart? All they said, I think at some point I heard they said a scientist or something, right?
Yeah, they said that like 10 minutes after it happened. I was like, who's...
Why?
I don't know. Thing is, like, whenever I see, like, whenever you see more than 4 guys around a guy, like around like someone of importance, I automatically think that those, I guess, cops or whatever, they're henchmen. Obviously, they're evil henchmen.
Yeah.
And this guy's dressed like a douchebag. Clearly, he's a villain, right?
You don't really know who to pull for here. Really, if you think about it, for a good portion of the movie, you don't. You don't know whether, even when Sho Kazugi's character Yamada, when he shows up later, you don't really know whether to pull for the guy or not. Like, you eventually put it together like he's got good intentions, right? But you don't really know that for a while. Like, you got no rooting interest. You know that something funky's happening to Christy, but she turns evil off and on, right? So it's really not much of a hero or a heroine to speak of until a little bit later on. But I love the crushing the golf ball. That was clearly just a fucking egg.
There's something about crushing balls in this movie. Right? There's the billiard ball a little later on,
and that's just a colored egg. I mean, they were clearly eggs, like, because the consistency of when it's like, and then like powder comes out, but
what was it like?
But the cracking of it, it's clearly an egg. If only they had more CGI, right, Smoak?
That's right. Yeah,
that's would have made it so much better. Yeah.
Actually, at the end of the movie, we do get to some of what was, not CGI, of course, because that wasn't around just yet. Well, I mean, unless you count Tron or whatever, but the visual effects style of the day, right, which is animation.
Oh God, yeah, it would have looked
drawing hand drawn animation on.
And I think you did get a little bit of that here, maybe on some level, right, when a couple of the electricity magic type parts of the movie happen. You get a little bit of that.
Maybe during the James Hong scene, and definitely at the end of the movie, whenever the possession, we'll get to that point. But at the end of the movie, the culmination of it, there were some visual effects there with involving, I guess, ninja spirits.
We might have still, if they had CGI, we might have still got some of these scenes, but they wouldn't have looked as cool as they did in this movie, such as when he punches a hole through the roof of the cop car. He shoots the one. Then he stuck a sword. He stuck a sword through.
Stuck a sword.
Took the first guy. Shoots through the roof with a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
First, I think.
Yeah, and then
he shoot him.
He ducks it.
The roof and misses.
No, he didn't miss him. He ducked it.
He ducked
How? Because he's like, huh! He goes back, and then pow! How? He stabs him through the roof, and then the guy driving punches him through the roof. The best part is right after that, though, when I don't think he technically did, but it looked like he kicked that cop car into a pond because he swung off the tree and kind of like, hey-ya! And then the car just launches into a pond. I mean, it didn't just like go off the bank and into the water. It launched off Dukes of Hazzard style
Oh yeah.
into a pond.
Because he kicked it.
Because he swung out and kicked it is what it looked like. Like, this motherfucker is punching holes to the roof of a car and kicked a car into a pond. At some point, they yell for a 1020. 1020 at the municipal golf course or whatever is 1020 code for ninja at a golf course.
You know.
We need to speak to somebody that has some 10 code experience here to tell us what the code is for a ninja at a golf course.
You say ninja, and I say, what the hell is that? Somewhat paraphrasing the words of what's his name in the movie? Love interest.
Secord.
Cop. Yeah.
Oh, then the cops surround him. The cops they finally have him cornered, and 5 or 6 cops, they just unload on him.
Yeah, this is actually after the chopper fight.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because I guess he jumps on top of a police chopper, and then kind of finagles his way around the chopper.
Yeah,
I guess underneath, and then he takes a ninja star and puts it in between his fucking shoes.
In his toes. And
yeah. But I don't know.
I love the chopper going down 80s movie TV style too, where it's the chopper's going down and it's going side to side, and then it goes over a hill, and then there's an explosion.
Yeah.
So they're not blowing anything up other than just whatever the hell they did to make that, some fireworks to make the explosion.
Yeah.
But the chopper landed safely on the other side of the hill. You just didn't see it. But
that chopper fight was hilarious.
But when the cops surround him and then they just blast him with the pistols and the shotguns and they just unload on him, and he's just, I mean, they shoot him, like you said, at least 100 times. I mean, they just fill him full of lead, and he keeps getting up. Did you notice that one of the cops, and you see him take, later here in a minute, there is revenge taken on these cops for doing this.
Yeah.
By the way, the cops are they the bad guys? I mean, they were doing their job at that point, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, see, this is part of the plot line that I don't know if they just axed it because who cares, about the plot at this point? But it must have been something in there with him. He's a ninja, so he's an assassin. That's what ninjas were. So he was there to, I don't know, assassinate the scientist, whatever the case, and then all the cops get called out, and then because they attempted to kill him, and they do end up, as we get to it, do kill him, and then he takes his revenge through, we'll get to that. Takes his revenge the way that he does.
The supernatural means.
Go ahead.
Through the supernatural means, but yeah, like you were getting to, why the hell would they be considered the bad guy in the sense of this dude just went on a murderous rampage at a golf course? This is exactly what the cops would do. They would maybe not, shoot him 100 times, but they would probably shoot him.
Yeah. I mean, if he kept getting up, I guess they'd have to shoot him 100 times, but
I guess
this movie, but
I guess there's some validity to that. But did you notice that one of the cops that he gets revenge on a little bit later on, or there is revenge taken out on, the one they called Case? It's the fucking dude that played Mr. Ochmonic and Alf. The next door neighbor, Trevor Ochmonic. As soon as I said, it was very brief too, where he's like, "Huh?" and he turns around. I'm like, "Holy shit, it's Mr. Ochmonic."
Yeah, one of those motorcycle cops was Robbie Knievel, Evel Knievel's son.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Robbie Knievel passed this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Way to bring it down there, Donnie.
Oh, Oh, yeah, by the way, he's dead.
Yeah. That was a fun cameo. He's dead. Oh. Even though he's been shot 1,000 times, he is still has the wherewithal to get up and leave. And he lives just long enough to find Christy. By the way, Christy is like what is she, like a line worker, up on the telephone poles and the electrical wires and all that?
Telephone line worker.
She sees him, she comes down, and then he lives long enough to give her the sword. Basically, I guess, possessing her, right? There's magic in the sword, take it kind of thing, and then eventually,
passed his spirit through the sword to her.
Yeah. But it wasn't long after this that we get where you go to Christy's apartment and you see a little bit of her life, and she goes to her aerobics class. Now, I read that in that description on IMDb that she was an aerobics instructor. Did I miss the part where she was an instructor? I just figured that that was her class.
I mean, yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Well, no, like during the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the scene, you see her like kind of instructing people,
okay.
and they're just
maybe I just missed. I just figured she was there doing the aerobics 80s style. Because I guess you know what, I was preoccupied. That's what the problem because the song, the song that was playing during this scene, is the same damn song from Hot Chili, Body Shop.
Body Shop, yeah.
I had to stop the movie at this point, and I had to collect myself. Because I really didn't think we'd have too many direct connections to Hot Chili. And I recognized it immediately from Hot Chili because the asininity of that movie, if that's a word.
I don't know, but yeah.
Good
that's
enough.
The first time I've
Close
heard
enough.
It's that movie, yeah.
When we did that episode and I put that together and I selected the music, you know, we often put the music at the beginning of the movies or the episodes from a movie. That was the selection of music that I pulled from Hot Chili to open up that episode. So if you go back to whatever number episode that was last summer during Camp Spookshow, the Hot Chili episode, I don't encourage it. But if you're going to have anything to do with Hot Chili, go listen to our episode. Don't watch the movie. Don't do it. But if you're going to, you'll hear this song Body Shop right off the top. I had to stop the movie, and then I met.
Up again.
Yeah, well, probably. But I had to stop the movie, collect myself, and then I messaged you guys like, "Fucking Body Shop's in this movie." That was right when it happened, and then I got back to it. But yeah, Hot Chili. It's the movie that won't die here on Cannon Fodder. It comes up one way or another. How about when she leaves her aerobics class, and she gets jumped by like 5 or 6 like fucking bodybuilders outside. And then there's a crowd of people around that don't do a fucking thing. Like they just stand.
There's like 30 of them.
Yeah. And cops. There's at least one cop, right? The Secord guy's there. And they're just watching.
Because he had like pursued her from earlier, which, you know.
Yeah.
When she was at the police station talking about the dying ninja.
He's been creeping on her. So he's there and doesn't lift a fucking finger. No, really nobody does. Like, because she comes out of the class, some girl's practically about to be raped by these dudes. No one does anything.
Bodybuilders that were in the gym watching the aerobics class earlier in the scene.
Nobody does a fucking thing. Like, hey, stop. Not even that. You know, like, except Christy, she jumps in and like now she's got these new possessed ninja skills, right? So she puts a couple of moves on him and puts him down. But yeah, I just thought that was awesome that nobody did a damn thing. As 2 women get jumped outside of an aerobics class, and it's not like 2 or 3 people are watching. There's like a crowd of 25 people standing there. And then when she kicks their ass, don't they start clapping?
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't help, but that was impressive. Mentioned it a second ago. How about her apartment? The arcade.
Oh my god.
The arcade cabinet bouncer.
Yeah. You know that game. I had to look that game up because when I saw it again pop up, I'm like, I never heard of a bouncer game. Maybe they just made it up for the movie because it plays a prominent role during a certain possession scene where it's like shifting towards her and lights coming out of it and all that. You know, reflecting off her face and everything. So I'm like, well, maybe they just made this name up because it's not, you know, it's a prominent role and they don't want to have like Pac-Man like possessing. But apparently it's a prototype of a.
Oh, okay, I was about to say I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it was it wasn't widely released. It was released, just not. It wasn't, you know, insanely popular. So I guess they pulled it.
And not too long after that is when the bouncer machine or video arcade cabinet scene happens, where like it takes possession. I don't understand. I mean, well, I don't understand a lot of stuff about this movie, but what the arcade cabinet had to do with anything, you know? It's like, I
think it was just a visual effect.
It was.
It basically poltergeist elements, you know, because I think I mentioned this, and I'm not the only one. I didn't even realize how many people had also made the same correlation of, you know, I mean, not that it's that hard to make this correlation, but between Exorcist, Poltergeist, and Flashdance, basically, and then ninjas thrown into the mix is basically kind of what the the concept.
Austin mentioned that. It was
Austin mentioned it too.
There's like her apartment is just decorated all sorts of crazy. It's like an old Daryl's restaurant where you get like
it's like a TGI Fridays in there.
Yeah,
there's a goddamn tuba hanging off the wall.
Yeah, it almost looks like a fucking Cracker Barrel in there. It's just so randomly. She's got a payphone in her apartment. Like, why?
She lives in an 80s music video. Like, that apartment is a fucking music video. And I don't say how many people actually could afford to have an arcade cabinet in their house in 1984.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that would have been expensive, I would imagine.
Shit, we saw it on silver spoons.
Yeah, but at least the premise there was the guy was rich, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess this was Phoenix. An apartment in Phoenix.
So she's Phoenix rich in 1984, is what you're saying.
She can afford that on her, her lineman.
Yeah, she can afford
salary
that bouncer cabinet and the fucking tuba on the wall, but she's rolling.
And how about the ninja sword too? That comes out of the, she's got the ninja sword stored up in the closet. In that possession scene, she's walking into the closet, and like the sword takes itself out of the scabbard, then turns itself upright, and there's like she backs out of the closet, and meanwhile all the 80s style lights are going off and everything, and the sword is very obviously dangling from a string as it's being in front of her.
There's some Ghostbuster ties there, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a guy with a fishing pole.
Like Dana.
It's very, very similar. Although these movies were, I guess this came out a little bit after Ghostbusters, but they were playing at the same time, like we said in the top 10. So I wouldn't think there'd be much of a chance there for them to have copied that, but it's very coincidental, right?
Yeah, I think it's coincidental, but I think they were like going for the Exorcist, because of the demonic possession by the ninja thing. I think without all the, effects that they used on Linda Blair necessarily, but just using makeup to make her face a little bit more pale and cracked a little bit or whatever it was,
For this not to be a horror, technically, there are a lot of horror elements to it, though. So I think that just adds to the wackiness of it all. How about when she's possessed and she finally starts taking revenge on the cops? Mr. Case. How does she kill him? I'm still trying to figure that one out because it basically looks like she just tossed him out of a window and then he died.
Yeah, maybe he landed on his spine, on the back of his neck or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seemed a very anticlimactic death for him.
Yeah, it's just like, she goes in there, kicks him around a little bit and then tosses him through the window and he's just dead. So maybe he landed on a shard of glass. I don't know. The hot tub kill scene. That was the next cop that she got the revenge on.
That whole scene from the police station, right? Because she's, at the police station, the cop's coming out with the two girls, what you assume, I don't know, what are they, prostitutes?
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
Had been arrested or something, I guess?
I guess so. Like, that was weird, too. Like, he said, come on, baby, I got something to show to you. And he's got two ladies that clearly want to go with him, and then they go into the happy spa down the street or whatever the fuck, and then they're in a hot tub.
She comes in with towels, right? Like she's working for the place or something. Comes in a robe and then with extra towels, and one of the girls lets her in like, oh yeah, okay, cool, come on in, we could use more towels or whatever. And then she then she comes towards the jacuzzi thing or whatever, and then drops her robe. And what does he say? The cop is like,
I don't even remember what the line was, but he welcomes it. Like, yeah, come on, baby. And then it's like, you fucking bitch. They just kind of slide over to the side. But
the other two girls were more than happy to go with the cop into the pool together as a threesome or whatever. But, here comes the fourth one. They're like, no.
Yeah. How dare you? But how she kills them all, though. Like, she's got like a ring.
Oh, yeah.
She's got like a ring that has a needle on it or something. Is it poison? I guess you kind of have to put that together, but she just kind of pricks him on the neck and then he just kind of slumps over.
They don't true. If there were no poison on it, then obviously it's not it's not gonna kill somebody. But they didn't go out of the way to show her like dipping it in anything.
No.
But you assume, I guess, poison laced or something.
I guess the assumption in the 80s was like, well, ninjas have poison to everything, so Fuck it, it's poison.
Yeah.
Poison
but then
darts.
she slashes that one of the girls across the neck, neck, chest area, whatever, with the ring, just like a Freddy style or something.
I guess the poison, then, once again, it takes her out.
Yeah. And then, strangles the other girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leaves all three of them in the jacuzzi and leaves.
I like when the cops are, like, investigating the scene later. And, no, I think it's when Yamada, Kazugi's character comes in. And they're still floating in the hot tub. And then there's blood on her chest. He just goes over and, like, does the finger thing, like. But it didn't go. Yeah, you notice like the blood didn't dissipate in the water or anything. It's still perfectly there, like on her chest. You would think.
I don't know what the point of that was, because a lot of times when somebody finds something that's like blood, usually when they go to do the finger thing, it's because even though this is pretty gross too, and nobody's gonna like it's laying on the ground somewhere, and they want to see if it's blood, so they like put it there and they taste it or whatever. I mean, but it's something in the jacuzzi and it's a slash across the chest, so obviously it's blood.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what this is. I don't know why he had to touch it and look at it like, yep, that was blood, all right. Maybe it was to like, that moment of like, oh yeah, that is poison. I guess it's kind of what they were going for, but whatever. It's not like it was any kind of
I thought he was going to taste it. Oh yeah, poison,
Oh shit, that's blood. So she eventually goes. Secord takes her to this. That's where James Hong comes in. What is he? I guess kind of like I don't even
spiritualist.
Yeah, I guess
spiritualist,
something like that. It's basically like, help me out. I think she's possessed or something. So like they tie her up, and then of course she goes like full demon mode. I love the part where she's tied up in between the pillars, and then she starts cutting flips.
Yeah, that one.
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Same things too, right? I forget what the exact lines are that she says. She says a few things though when she stops finally or whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, there was a scene in there where her head was supposed to spin around all Exorcist style, and it was cut out by the MPAA, the MPAA. They submitted it to the MPAA, and it would have gotten an X rating with that scene. I don't know why. I don't know whether there was gore involved with it. I mean, you would think about somebody's head spinning around like an Exorcist wouldn't be a reason to slap it with an X, but I mean.
I guess it would just depend on, like you said, the amount of gore that. How did they do it? I guess that's the question. Then it's somewhere in here where you get the classic line, like I think maybe right after this or during this, where they say only a ninja can destroy a ninja.
Oh yeah, and there's different variations of it. I think in here, like I know in the Revenge of the Ninja it was only a ninja can stop a ninja, and this one it was only a ninja can kill a ninja. I don't know. Right. It's the same thing basically, just a little bit of word variation.
Only a ninja can destroy a ninja. How about when Yamada finally shows up on the scene and like he's going to the morgue or whatever, and he's just beating the shit out of everybody, and then those two guys. Orderlies, doctors, whatever they are in the morgue. He just like, come here with his finger. And then they walk up and he just bonks their head together. Like, yeah.
His eye patch, because he has an eye patch. His eye patch looks like a blade guard on a sword.
It is. I think it was. I think I did read something like that. It was a katana guard.
Yeah, I was like, shit, that looks like the blade guard.
It has to just be for effect, right? Like it looks kind of cool. It's different.
Yeah.
How about a nice cool glass of V8, Donnie?
No thanks. I'm good.
That has to be one of the most unsexy things I've ever seen.
It's like tomato juice.
I guess it's the fact that she's a health nut or whatever. I guess, and that I don't know when 9.5 Weeks came out, but the whole food and sex thing.
To back up from where we were there in the movie, she really turned on a dime with him, right? Like, for the longest part of the movie, she's like, fuck off, cop. And then out of nowhere, she's just like, well, come back to my place. And then she gets naked and pours V8 juice down her chest. Like, it happens real quick.
I was like, damn, I mean.
Basically turned around and he was going to drop her off in the car, right? He finally had enough. He's been pursuing her the whole time. And then she's like, just stop here. Let me, because, okay, well, screw it. Then get the hell out or whatever. And then that's when she kind of like,
well, I do need a ride.
Yeah. I do have some V8 juice back in my apartment.
V8. Of all the things to try to be sexy with, it's like
come on, man.
And then like he's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, and then like pounces her and starts licking the V8 off her chest. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you sounded like a Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what Secord sounded like. What?
Oh man.
Now, speaking of Secord, after he sees her possessed, when they go to this witch doctor, whatever the fuck that guy was, why the fuck would he leave her alone ever again? Like, you have seen her,
at her worst.
Yeah,
basically,
she's been possessed by a demon, and there's no question about it. I got to go do some shit. He just leaves her to, go about her own devices at that point. That didn't make much sense. Maybe it's part of the cutting room floor. Like, there's something in there that explains a little better as to why. And he basically doesn't. He really goes off and doesn't do much. I mean, he kind of does a little bit more detective work, but it's not like there was any particular reason that you saw that he would leave her. But of course, he goes to a funeral. Now, this is the funeral for the jacuzzi cop, right? I assume. I don't remember them ever saying whose funeral it was, but I assume it was his, right? She gets possessed by the black ninja again. She climbs up on top of a tree and starts taking dudes out with his bow and arrow. Same thing, too. Like, they're just shooting blindly and not hitting a damn thing. Yeah,
they're, like, pointing at, like, I don't know. It's like, okay, so we can see that the, like, she's basically up in the trees and she is pointing directly, in front of her and shooting the arrows. I guess it was, what was the guy? Sergeant, I think, Pickwitty or whatever the fuck his name was. Pickwittle.
Okay.
Anyway, black guy with a scar.
Yeah.
So he just grabs somebody's gun and starts shooting in random directions. Yes. It was like he was playing duck hunt.
And he's not good at it.
No, he's just...
The dog was coming up laughing at him.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what that was. But basically, you get towards the end now, because, like, Yamada he takes the body, right, the original body that was shot up 1,000 times earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
He takes the body to, like, this I think they even called it, go to the old temple on the hill. Like, everybody knows where this fucking place is. Go to the old temple on the hill. He takes the body there. That brings her there, basically bring the spirit back into the body, like through some martial arts. Like he kicks its ass back into the body. Then he has the knockdown drag out fight with the original Black Ninja and the zombie ninja. Christy is still like, meanwhile, she could have just went home. She's done now, but no, she still wants to be involved. She takes the sword and stabs the zombie ninja. And then in one of the better scenes of the movie, he drills himself into the ground. He's just like, ugh, and then starts spinning and drills himself underground, cracking open, like an earthquake, like a minor earthquake or something, cracks open the ground. And then Yamato's like hanging on for dear life. Meanwhile, it looks like if he just let go, he'd fall 2 feet. Like there's ground there. It's not like it's a bottomless pit that opened up. It's just like a 6-foot chasm opened up. He could easily land on his feet, but he's like hanging on for dear life. But he gets up. Yamada stabs the Black Ninja in the head with the sword. Black Ninja disappears. Literally like thumbs up. See ya. The end. That's it.
As far as ninja deaths go, that was pretty cool. He disappears. Now, wait till we get to Ninja Terminator. I may have sent y'all the conclusion of that movie, but let's just say there's some exploding ninjas for no reason whatsoever. He just disappears, but he doesn't explode like the Ninja Terminator. But we'll get to that at some point on the show too.
I guess there really wasn't many other ways for this movie to end, right? Just stab him in the head and make him disappear. The end. But him drilling himself into the ground, that was like, what the hell is going on here? Smoak, I'm going to let you have the pleasure. So I think you did nominate this, right, for the old wheel spin where we determine what this was.
Yeah.
I think you did. So we'll let you have the pleasure of giving the star rating out first. So this is the Cannon. You're giving out Cannon balls. This isn't star rating. I misspoke. So this is the Cannon scale, right? So what do you say?
Well, this is classic Cannon. I mean, this is up there. What we've talked about. We talked about this before too. Where we need to pull back and start doing some of the lesser canon films before we run out of all the really good ones. This is one of those really good ones, but it's bonkers. It's all over the place, like we talked about. But there's something about it that's just, of course, it's very 80s. It's very, it's got the ninja element. It's got all these other things thrown in the blender that we mentioned as well, and that Austin mentioned, Exorcist, Poltergeist, Flashdance, you name it, it's in here pretty much. I also agree 100% with Austin that Revenge of the Ninja would also be my favorite one of these three of the Ninja trilogy. Also, that being said, that this is still equally, I think, it's kind of like what he was saying. If you could give, he gave it shurikens, because of the ninjas. But if you could give this one a certain amount, like 5, then Revenge of the Ninja should get 10, or he made it more like 270 shurikens versus, out of a 5 scale, 5 shuriken scale or whatever. I pretty much agree with that. It's like, I can't go back and give this anything less, though, just because I like Revenge of the Ninja more. And once we get to that, that's going to be a fun one to cover too. I can't give this less than 5 cannonballs, I think, just because of how batshit crazy it is as a canon film, as a ninja movie, as just, just everything in the kitchen sink is in here. So I'll have to go with 5 cannonballs, even though Revenge of the Ninja is still my favorite of the trilogy. Once we get to that, we'll see why I like that one more. But yeah, 5 cannonballs.
Myself, I'm going to agree. Just because it's so out there, it's so nutty, but it's a lot of fun. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and the acting is shit for the most part. But on the canon scale, it's one that I would definitely like. I would watch this again easily. It's like you've said before, Smoak. It's one of those kind of movies you want to show to people. Like, sit down, you got to watch this shit. It's one of those kind of movies. So, yeah, I got to go 5 cannonballs. So, Donny, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit less than you guys, just a little bit, not too much. Yeah, it's bonkers, it's ridiculous, but that's also what makes it fun. But also on the canon scale, I can't say I like this any more than fuck, I don't. I
will tell, because I have it in front of me now. You gave out a 5 for Over the Top and Missing in Action. Those are your 5s. So that's your scale, right? That's your tops.
Yeah, that's my top. Yeah, this is not there, but it's close. I'm gonna say 4 cannonballs. Okay. It's up there. Yeah. I would absolutely watch this again. This is actually the first time I watched it.
Same here.
But yeah, to me, it just doesn't hit those. It doesn't hit my peak specifically.
Well,
but it's awesome.
For the most part, that means we're going to average out like a high 4 point something, without doing the math, and without having Will's. Adding in Austin's, what did you say, 200 and something star cannonballs or whatever. So yeah, for there, as far as we're concerned, we'll leave it there. We do have the canon connections with Donny. We'll do that in just a second. But before I do that, the usual aggregates, IMDb, it gets 5.4 out of 10 stars. It's got a Metascore of 25. That's out of 100. So this is Rotten Tomatoes, though. I was kind of surprised by this. The tomato meter, 40%. And the audience score, 54%. I just knew this was going to be low, especially on the tomato meter. But I thought 40% was pretty damn good. I think with these kind of movies, you have to kind of like, you don't compare these to real movies. You know what I mean? It's like, this is just one of those like crazy, have fun popcorn flick type of movies in a lot of ways. So like, you don't compare this to real cinema, so to speak. So if you're just in for some, you want some good laughs and a good time with a cheesy 80s action flick with a lot of weird genre mixing going on, then this is the one for you. Yeah, before we leave this one entirely in the dust.
Cannon Connections.
Donny?
All right, so basically with Canon Connections, we connect the current Canon movie episode by any cast and crew connections into past Spookshow episodes, and for Ninja 3, The Domination. On the cast side, obviously we mentioned James Hong, who plays Miyashima. He was also in a past Spookshow episode, Missing in Action.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and also
I was just about to say, I thought this was the first James Hong movie, but you're right. I forgot about that one. Yeah,
that was a missing in action.
And ironically, over Cannon, right?
Yep. Yeah, and there's also a lesser known actor who is actually in more of our episodes. He's Robert Hammond. He plays a policeman here. There's a slew of them, but plays a policeman in Ninja 3. But he was also a stuntman as well. But on the acting side, he was in The Howling, Hellraiser 3, and Invasion USA, another Cannon film. So that's the cast side. And on the crew side, remember I said I thought I had a little Easter egg before we started recording. So makeup effects crew member Joe Quinlivan. He was also makeup effects for Invasion USA, and as well as X-Ray or Hospital Massacre. The reason I say this is because just before the scene in the morgue where Yamada pops up on top of the building, he pops up in front of a sign that says X-Ray.
Huh.
I don't know if that may be a coincidence. It may not be, but obviously that, it was the morgue. It wasn't it wasn't an X-ray. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Could be a nice little Easter egg nod to Hospital Massacre there. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. X-ray or Hospital Massacre, whatever know it as.
Either way.
Yep.
Well, if not, that was some coincidence.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I like to think that it's probably more coincidence. I don't know if they got
probably.
I don't know if they got that much cleverness in them, but who knows? You never know. Well, there we go. That's how we kick off the month of May here. And also, this is going to be the last Cannon Fodder, just a programming note, so to speak. Cannon Fodder is going to go on hiatus for a little bit because we've got our summer series about to start. It kicks off with a preview episode on Memorial Day, May 29th, episode 162. But the following week will be our first movie selection of the Spookshow Summer Disaster. Now, we've already announced this. We've been talking about it here over on YouTube, and we just talked about it a couple weeks ago on our Spookshow Spotlight of Sam Raimi. But just wanted to let you know that basically we couldn't find any movies in particular without really digging in deep into the Cannon catalog that kind of fit what we wanted to do with the theme of the Spookshow Summer Disaster. So we just kind of decided to be able to slide a couple other movies in. We're just going to put Cannon Fodder on hiatus for the summer. But it will return. It's not going away. We're going to bring it back in September. Right now we have it slated as our Labor Day episode 176. I know that's far, far away, but if you listen to these and you're just a big fan of our Cannon Fodder series, it's going to be a minute before we come back to it. So just a reminder, you want to stick around in September for our next Cannon Fodder. But you definitely don't want to miss the Spookshow Summer Disaster series this summer. But before we even get there, we got some other stuff. We got some bumps in the road before we hit the full-on disaster mode. And it's starting next week. Episode 159, we're going to be watching Mother's Boys from 1993, the thriller with Jamie Lee Curtis. I've never seen this. I don't even remember hearing anything about it. But we decided to pull it because we nominated a few just amongst ourselves, and we did a wheel spin of some movies that fit the criteria for Mother's Day. Now, I know it's a little premature for Mother's Day, but it comes out basically the Monday before Mother's Day. So it'll be out May 8th, and Mother's Day is on May 14th, that following Sunday. So we decided instead of celebrating Mother's Day after Mother's Day, we would hit it beforehand with Mother's Boys. So this ought to be interesting. I'll read you the brief IMDb synopsis. Jude Madigan abandons her husband Robert and her 3 sons without any explanation. 3 years later, Jude inexplicably returns to reunite her family. There's a little bit more there, but I'm going to stop there because it might get into spoiler territory. So I've never seen it. I don't think any of us have, really. This might be a first-time watch for all of us, right?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I have not.
So we'll find out next week whether Mother's Boys is worth our time or not. I got a strong feeling it's probably not. But hey, you never know. You never know. Judge a book by its cover, right? You never know. So that's what we got coming up next week. And then, a couple weeks following that, we'll be cranking up the Spook Show Summer Disaster, so you don't want to miss a thing. Go over to aaspookshow.com for all of our YouTube stuff, Patreon stuff, any latest information, and stick to our socials and everything. So we appreciate you listening. For Will, who couldn't be with us, he's on assignment. Donny, Professor Smoak, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show Podcast, and we'll talk to you next week for Mother's Boys.
Please replace the speaker on its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patrons who follow you.